Hello everyone, this is Pavita and I welcome you all on behalf of Edureka to this interesting session where I will be walking you through on how to crack Wipro interview questions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look into the agenda for today. Firstly, we're going to start off by understanding and learning some of the facts about Wipro, and then we're going to see the interview process in Wipro, and we'll prepare for online assessment round. And next we'll prepare for technical round. Finally, we'll prepare for HR round, and then I'll give you some bonus tips to crack this interview. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to Edureka YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to never miss an update. Also, if you're interested in online training certification, do check out the link given in the description box below. Now let's get started. Wipro is basically a company recognized globally for its comprehensive portfolio of services, strong commitment to sustainability, and good corporate citizenship. They have over 200,000 dedicated employees serving clients across 6 continents. Wipro was incorporated on 29 December 1944 in Maharashtra by Mohammad Premji as Western India Products. Later, it was abbreviated into Wipro. Fortune India 500 ranks Wipro the 29th largest Indian company by total revenue and 9th largest employer in India. Wipro Limited is an Indian multinational corporation that provides information, technology, consulting, and business processes services. It is a leading global information technology that harness the power of cognitive computing, hyper-automation, robotics, cloud, analytics, and emerging technologies to name a few. A career at Wipro is an opportunity to realize your full potential, progress consistently, and work on cutting-edge technology alongside some of the industry's brightest brains. With that, let's move ahead and see what are the principles of Wipro. Well, in the terms of Wipro, it is known as Spirit of Wipro. The spirit of Wipro is core of Wipro. These are the values that's been followed with ages. Wipro is the happiest when they make their clients successful. They collaborate to sharpen insights and amplify these successes. They execute excellence always. Treat each other with respect. They treat every human being with respect. There is a high nurture and an open environment where people are encouraged to learn, share, and grow. Be global and responsible. They will always be global in their thinking and will be responsible citizens of the world. They are energized by the deep connectedness between people, ideas, communities, and the environment. Unyielding integrity is everything they do. Integrity is their core and is basis of everything. It is about following the law, but it's more. It is about honesty and fairness in action. With that said, let's move on and understand the process of interview. First thing is applying online. Now, if you're applying for a specific job that matches your profile using their advanced job search, upload your resume if you do not find a match, and they will call you when the vacancy arises. Evolution. Attend technical functional interviews with their business and talent acquisition teams. Complete online assessments for selective skills. Documentation. Share the requested documents so that they can roll out a competitive offer. The list of documents required will be shared by your HR contact. Offer. Hold an active discussion with their recruiters and receive your final offer. Confirm your offer acceptance and initiate the notice period with your current employer. Joining. Checking your credentials. A background verification will be conducted based on the documents you have submitted. Welcome to Wipro. Congratulations on your job. Start your professional journey with a special induction program. Now, hoping that you have understood the process, let's move on and see how each of the process is being done. The first thing is online assessment round. Now, it is important to understand the online assessment round as the interview round starts off with online assessment itself. The candidates who clear this round are called for technical interview rounds. Over here, there is aptitude, essay writing, and coding, which we'll get into in our further session ahead. The next thing is technical round. Candidates who pass the online assessment round will be called for face-to-face technical interviews. Your technical abilities are evaluated during a technical interview, which is usually related to the technical knowledge required for the position that you have applied for. The questions will put your problem solving and numerical reasoning skills to the test. The technical face-to-face interview is the most crucial step in this process. You should be familiar with computer fundamentals such as OOPS, DBMS, computer networking, operating systems, etc. You do not need to be fluent in all programming language, but at least one such as C++, Java, or Python should be familiar to you. You can be asked to write code too. The number of technical interviews to be conducted will be based on your performance in previous rounds, job profile, and even company requirements. The final thing that you have is HR round. Now here, every organization conducts HR round to assess your personality, strengths, shortcomings, and ability to handle tasks. They examine your resume to ensure that you have included all relevant information about yourself and that information you have provided is accurate to the best of your knowledge. Some of the tips I would give you here is to prepare yourself to respond to any question that may be posed based on your resume. Be confident and truthful about anything you answer. Now, if you're preparing for an HR interview, you can expect some of the questions which I will be addressing further in the session ahead today. With that, let's move on and understand how you can prepare for online assessment round. Now, aptitude is the first section that's been covered here in online assessment round. Aptitude test is the initial step in Wipro process as well. This round is broken into 3 sections: quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, and verbal ability. The candidate's mathematical abilities will be tested in this phase. Time, speed, distance, number series, probability, permutation, and combinations, ratios and proportion, percentages are all covered here in quantitative aptitude section. Logical reasoning covers the portion which will access the candidate's ability to think critically and logically. You will be asked questions about coding, decoding series, analogy, visual reasoning, data sufficiency, data interpretation, data arrangements, logical word sequence, statements and interference, etc. Verbal ability. Here in this section, English abilities are being tested. Error spotting, sentence improvement, sentence completion, para jumbles, among others, are few of the subjects that verbal ability will be focused on. The next thing in online assessment round is essay writing. An essay writing test is included in writing portion and it can be based on any topic or scenario. 200 to 400 words essay is something that a candidate must prepare on and even write. Know that it is a computer-based examination. A good Wipro essay will feature some of the following concepts: excellent planning, proper paraphrasing, and extremely good vocabulary. The next thing in online assessment round is coding. Candidates can take coding assessments in any of the languages: Java, C, C++, or Python. Fundamentals of programming must be mastered in at least one programming language of his or her choice. Generally, 2 or 3 coding questions are asked in this round. The following are the topics that must be mastered. Now, some of the topics that must be mastered are decision making, loops, arrays, and functions, or even strings. Now, something that everyone has to note here is the online assessment round, however, can be skipped if the folks are experienced and based on companies' requirements and job profiles. Now, the next part is technical questions. Let's move ahead and understand how exactly we can crack this part of our interview. Now, some of the technical concepts that will be included while we are answering our technical questions is programming language concepts. Now, when I mean programming language concept, you might be asked questions on Java, C, C++, theoretical based questions, problematic questions, and many more. Similarly, you'll be asked questions based on the concept of linked lists, trees, strings, Dynamic programming and OOPS concepts is another important concept that will be covered in the technical round. Similarly, you'll have DBMS covered, graphs, sorting and searching type of questions as well. With that, I have addressed here a couple of questions, one involving theoretical answer, one involving problematic answer. Now, I have also covered many more questions which you can go through, but I would suggest you might go ahead and answer most of the questions available on the web as well. So let's go ahead and start off with that. The first question that I have considered here and is mostly asked in every Wipro interview is what makes a macro faster than a function in the C programming language. Now, accordingly, your programming language could be Java, Python, or even C++. Here, the answer goes like macros are sections of code in a program that have been given a name. Now, not necessary that you define macro, but giving a definition is an added bonus. The compiler substitutes this name with the real piece of code whenever it encounters this name. To define a macro, use define directive. Macro can be defined either before or within main method. Now here's a code that I have considered which will explain more upon your macro function. Now to explain this code, we defined a macro named HRS or Rs to have a value of 24. Now when we call the macro in the printf function, 24 gets printed in the output terminal. So this explains macro. Now similarly, you'll be asked many questions related to this as well. Make sure you prepare and be thorough with such concepts. The next thing that I have considered and will be asked definitely in Wipro interview is what are the differences between object-oriented language and object-based programming language. Now, this can be phrased in many ways. Also, many such differences question might also be covered in your coding and technical round. Now, to answer this question, there are many differences between object-oriented and object-based languages. Object-oriented languages adhere to all object-oriented programming concepts, but object-based languages do not adhere to all object-oriented programming concepts, such as inheritance, polymorphism, etc. Object-oriented languages lack built-in objects, but object-based languages do. For example, JavaScript contains a built-in window object. Java, C#, Smalltalk, and others are the example of object-oriented languages, while JavaScript, VBScript, and others are example of object-based languages. Now, similarly, many more questions are, what do you understand about order of precedence and associative in Java? How do you use them? How can you make a request for garbage collection in Java? Explain aggregation versus composition in Java. What are the difference between error and exception in Java? Differentiate different strings and char arrays in Java. If I could go on, there would be many more questions related to technical concepts. Make sure you come across and practice some more coding and technical questions that covers the concepts that I have mentioned. Hoping that you have understood that part of the interview. Moving on, I will address some of the tips and tricks that you can probably remember and which will help you crack the technical part of your Wipro interview. Now, it is very important that you know the technical knowledge required for your position that you have applied for. There are certain cases that an interviewer will ask all the technical questions that you have mentioned in your resume. So make sure you short down your resume to the apt and perfect knowledge that you have on your technical skills. Sometimes we go about mentioning extra skills just to make the recruiter think that you are well versed in certain languages. Well, in reality, this doesn't work. Knowing one language perfectly is a better opportunity than knowing little about two languages. Hence, it is important that you mention your programming language perfectly in your resume and be prepared on that language. The technical face-to-face interview is the most crucial step in this process. Any interview process might be filtered and selected based on your technical knowledge, because ultimately you are applying for your technical knowledge itself. So make sure you are prepared properly and give at most correct answers in your interview. Be clear on each of the solution you choose for a problem. Ambiguity does not fetch you any marks. It is always helpful that you have clear-cut answers to every question that you are picking. Timely decision making capacity is very important. Beating around the bush or taking a long time to answer any of your technical questions will put the interviewer in a negative opinion. Now, you don't want that to happen, hence, make quick and correct answer while answering your questions. With that, let's move on to preparing our HR round questions. Now, in HR round question, the first thing that you will be asked, not just in Wipro interview question, perhaps in any interviews, is tell me about yourself. Here, make sure you start with current position achievements, past work history, and academic and personal details. And if you're experienced professional, I recommend you start off with your achievements in your professional career. Telling the interviewer about your hobbies, skill sets, strengths, qualification, and successes is the ideal method to answer this question. Now make sure you focus on all of these that I just mentioned. Wipro is basically a well-established and high-achieving organization. So being positive and enthusiastic in your answers will always prove and add value to their already established organization. Now, if I have to give an example answer for this question is, I am a highly motivated and goal-oriented person who strongly believes that significant process in an organization like Wipro can be achieved only if everyone in the team is working in the same direction, just like the spirit of Wipro suggests. Now, I have already discussed about spirit of Wipro, which involves the principles of Wipro as well. Make sure you are well aware of this and you include this in your answer, which will put the interviewer in good opinion about you. In previous experiences, I have learned and understood that skills that perfectly fits with the job description. Adding on, my reviews on my performance by my previous managers showcase that I am an apt candidate who is willing to give the best to an established and high-achieving organization like Wipro. The next question that will definitely be asked is, why do you want to work at Wipro? Your answers should be crisp, genuine, and unique. Keep it short, but it is very important to give examples for your answers. Now, be aware of the Wipro company goals, principles, and their notable achievements. The interviewer is attempting to determine whether you are a good fit for the organization or not. Now, example answer for this would go like, Wipro is ranked third among India's top IT companies. It is a fantastic company to work for. Here, your qualities will be valued. The organization has good policies and possibilities, and it works in a range of fields and countries. Once inside, you will have a variety of options based on your skills. Wipro's infrastructure and team management are unquestionably excellent. Work-life balance is excellent too at Wipro. I'm a quick learner who can quickly absorb something new to me. Hence, I would enjoy and cherish to be part of this organization. Here, you have had words of praise for Wipro. You have also spoken about your abilities that you can contribute to the organization, and hence you have also expressed your enthusiasm to work for the company. A well-structured answer like this will fetch you job in Wipro. The next thing that you will definitely be asked in a company like Wipro is, are you willing to relocate to various parts of India? Now, affirmative answers will always put the recruiter in an attitude that you are willing to give at most to the organization like Wipro. Negative answers might give a negative opinion about you, assuming that you are not willing to give your 100% to your work or company. Although the chances of you being relocated are nearly questionable, giving them the benefit of doubt is highly unadvisable. Hence, make sure you give an affirmative answer and give your personal reasons according to your answer. The next thing that you will definitely be asked is tell me about a time when you took risk at work. Here, certain scenarios that you have to keep in mind is to not start the answer with negative scenario. Make sure you consider your strength, which worked for your best at crucial situation and that needed an immediate action. Include a colleague or co-worker that you basically overpowered in achieving the same. Here, an example answer that I would give is, while I was working on a project that had a tight deadline and an issue was to be solved by one of my co-worker, I had to do it in his absence, having known very less about that part of the project, and I put in extra time even over the weekends to learn the requirement and understand to meet the project deadline. I not only could close the project for the desired deadline, but also prevented my coworker from facing trouble and prevented a huge loss to the company. Here, you've crisply highlighted your strengths, told that you even could overpower, and you also did all that for the company's benefit. The next question that is mostly asked in the Wipro interview question is, why are you looking for a job change? Now, this is mostly asked for experienced candidates. The simplest way to respond to this question is to say that you are leaving current job to pursue a promotion. Now, make sure you don't criticize or undermine the company where you are employed now. With that said, that covers almost all the most asked HR round interview questions for Wipro. Now here, I would suggest some of the bonus tips that you have to remember in order to crack the HR round questions. The first thing is to be ready with the detailed examples. Now, it is important that you give examples to every answer that you give. At the same time, be fast with your examples and do not drag or keep beating around the bush with any of your answer. The next thing is to let the answers be concise, structured, and clear. Like I said, giving the same answer or the same type of answer to every question will put a negative impression on the recruiter. It is important you are well aware of the spirits of Wipro, principles, and some of the notable achievements of Wipro which will help you crack the interview. Finally, be quick and on point with your answers. Taking your own time to answer each of your questions will not only consume your time but also the recruiter's time, which nobody wants. Finally, let's move on to our final part of today's session, which is the bonus tips. Some of the tricks to remember to crack Wipro questions are here. Now, it is important that you understand the role for which you are applying. Gather as much information as you can about the job position you are applying for, such as skill set required, educational requirements, and so on. Self-confidence is the first step towards a successful interview. If you're confident enough, you have already completed half of your task. Maintain a positive attitude and a smile on your face all the times. The more you prepare for the interview, the more likely you are to succeed. Acquire a thorough understanding of interview stages, rounds, questions, among other things. Prepare answers to common HR and management interview questions. Pay close attention to your technical subjects and final projects. You can also read about companies' accomplishments like I mentioned earlier, organizational structure, vision, work-life balance, etc. Make certain you're up to date on the latest achievements. You should have fundamental understanding of current technology trends such as artificial intelligence, big data, and many such topics. Be familiar with basic computer science principles, programming language, and practice coding. With that, I would highly suggest that you create a good profile on LinkedIn. Most of the recruiter's attention will be grabbed on your LinkedIn profile itself. It is an open resume. Even if you don't send in the resume, there are many times that recruiters' eye will be caught upon your well-structured LinkedIn profile. Keep on adding and updating with time. Practice your programming languages. Coding and more practical knowledge will always help you gain and ace your technical round of the interview. Now, adding your GitHub link in your LinkedIn profile is an added advantage. Make sure you do that. Finally, Edureka will provide you many certifications to crack any of the interviews. We have n number of certifications on our website, for which you can find the link in the description box. Pick up your certification as per your job description, get the certification, put in the LinkedIn profile, and get highlighted even more. With that, we have reached to the end of today's session. I hope this session was useful, and I hope you are able to crack this Wipro interview. If you have any doubts regarding today's session, put down in the comment section below. Until we meet again next time, happy learning.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!